Why don't all you young people look wonderful tonight? My name is Charlie Powell. I was born here in Decatur County in 1900 and I stayed here all my life. I married a woman by the name of Bonnie Ruth Chandler, who was from Donaldsonville, but we met in Decatur County, so I guess that's okay. We met when I was working in a local butcher shop. She walked in with her friend, and when they walked out, I told my boss, I'm gonna marry that woman. She was 18 at the time, and she told me she wouldn't get married until she turned 20. Well, buddy, she turned 20 on July 20th, and I made her my wife on July 21st. I didn't know it then, but Bonnie already knew how to cut meat, so she fell right into the family business. I was a butcher, you know, but we'll get back to that later. I had 7 brothers and sisters. My mother died during childbirth when I was only 4 years old. My father passed away not long after that, when I was about 6. All of us children went to live with my mother's half-brother Jeter and his wife. Because I lost my parents at such a young age, family was very important to me when I was an adult. Bonnie and I had 2 children. The first, Amanda, was unfortunately a stillborn, but 2 years later we had Gloria. You may know her. Her last name is Coppinger now, and boy did she turn out to be a fine lady. She's still living around here and is very involved in the community. I guess she gets that from me. I too was involved in the community. I was a member and ordained deacon at the First Baptist Church, and was a member of the Baraka Sunday School class. I was also a member of the Bainbridge Lions Club, a Mason, and a Shriner. I served on the Bainbridge City Council for 16 years from 1946 to 1962. One time when I was on the City Council, we voted to allow the JCs to show movies at the theater on Sundays. On the Monday after the first Sunday show, I got a call telling me to turn on my radio. There I hear old Reverend Charlie Bishop praying for the city's leaders, saying we were sending all the teenagers to hell just for showing movies on Sunday. That man sure was a card. I can also remember when we were talking about putting parking meters downtown. One local business owner came into my store one day irate after hearing about this. He did not want to have parking meters outside his business because he didn't want his customers to pay for parking. I told him it was fine not to have the parking meters, but all of the taxis would be parking outside his store since it was free. Needless to say, he was okay with the meters after that. I was a butcher. I worked for a couple of other people before opening my own store, but during World War II it was impossible to get meat. So I put all my equipment into storage, closed the store, and went to work for Miller Hydro. You may know Miller Hydro is the place that manufactured bottled washing equipment, but during this time it had been retooled to make ammunition parts for the war. I only worked there a short while, 2 years at the most, and then when the war was over I reopened my butcher shop. Many people remember it being on Water Street, across from where the restaurant Crave is now. It was a great location. On my block we had Mr. Drinkwater, who had a grocery store, and Dr. Griffin's hospital was just above the market. Mr. Snipes had a feed and seed store, and there was also a bicycle shop owned by Mr. Hart. And do any of you remember Shoemaker Smith? His place was located on the corner of my block. I took great pride in my business. I was known for keeping my knives sharp and my counters clean. One morning, all the guys on my block, and along with Mr. Earl May, you know, the guy the boat basin is named after, well, we were in my butcher shop cutting up when Mr. Hart made a joke about Earl May. Earl grabbed my butcher's knife in one hand, Mr. Hart's tie in the other, and swung at him. Cut his tie clean off. Scared the rest of us to death. He was joking, of course, but that's how I came to be known for my sharp knives. On Saturdays, the town stayed open late so that the farmers could have a chance to do business. Most of us stayed open until about 10 p.m. I took advantage of the late nights, and when I closed, I took all my meat out of the cabinets and cleaned them out with ivory soap. Yep, I did it every Saturday. Sometimes I wouldn't get home until after midnight. While we stayed open on that night, on Thursdays the whole town shut down at noon. I usually took my family fishing on those days. Gloria, Bonnie, and I, along with my brother, sister-in-law, and nephew, would all go down to the creek to try and catch some fish. The ladies would bring food, along with some meal and eggs in a glass jar. One of the wives would take the kids swimming while the rest of us caught fish. After we caught our fish, we built our fire and had a fish fry right there on the banks of the creek. Those were the days. Well, I guess I better send you on your way. You've got some more people to see. Thank you for spending some time with me tonight.